All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to tonight's NASCAR Busch Series race on NASCAR 07, race 11 of 35 at the Richmond Raceway. This is the running of the Circuit City 250. Full race from here to the end of the season for the Busch Series on NASCAR 07. I don't believe we have any more 50% races left. So, with that being said, we'll have to wait and see who will go to victory lane yet again. Clint Boyer, our driver, has the most wins on the year. We have 5. No other driver has more than 1. But we have not led in the point standings yet this season. Tony Stewart with a 75-point lead. We've been as close as 13 points from the points lead. After that spot when we were 13 points out of first, we ended up finishing 41st at Atlanta. And we've pretty much been having to try to scratch and claw our way back into it ever since. We've won 3 of the last 5 races since that 41st place finish, but unfortunately, Tony Stewart just consistently keeps finishing in the top 5 or top 10 every race, so we're barely clipping into that gap. But coming into tonight, feeling good. Tony Stewart qualified a little bit further back in the field. I think that's going to potentially help us. You see on the starting grid, he was 15th. So 15th is where Tony Stewart's qualifying for this race. So we are starting on the pole. I think I'll have the fastest car here. It'll kind of be similar to Phoenix, which was just 2 races ago where I dominated that. The flatter, shorter tracks are my strong suit on this game. Needless to say, what happened with the Truck Series race at Milwaukee, where I didn't have the fastest truck, at least I can bank on Richmond, Phoenix, New Hampshire. Those are probably my 3 best racetracks on this game. So we'll try to take advantage of this, try to get a max points day, hopefully keep Tony Stewart from leading any laps, and who knows, maybe we take the points lead here today for the first time. We'll have to wait and see. So again, on the pole, green flag is in the air, and we are racing here at Richmond. Down into the first turn, Kyle Busch trying to clear on that initial start. Boyer barely stays underneath him. And side by side down the back straightaway into turn 3. Clear off turn 4, lap 1 led by the pole sitter Boyer. Good start. Wade, thanks for tuning in. It's like starting at 11 p.m. All right. I don't know about that, but I think we'll have ourselves a pretty easy race, like I already mentioned. Phoenix, we had the fastest car in the field. Took advantage of it. It was a little closer than we needed it to be, so we'll make sure we don't have any sort of fuel hiccups throughout the course of this one. Hopefully this race is as good as yesterday's truck race. Well, I appreciate that you enjoyed it. I don't know. I feel like this has the makings to be a potential snooze fest. I'm really good at Richmond on this game. Again, Richmond, Phoenix, New Hampshire, those are my 3 best tracks. Very rarely you'll find me not leading a race at any one of those tracks. Our Busch Series race at Phoenix a couple races ago, it was a little more interesting than it needed to be because of a pit stop miscalculation with the fuel. But we still ended up getting the win. We should have a dominating race here. First pole of the season, by the way, as well for Clint Boyer. So really trying to take advantage of that as well. And we'll have to wait and see. I mean, you never know. It could be another fuel mileage race. It could be like a borderline 1-stopper. I would imagine it's going to be a 2-stop race, but if it is a borderline 1-stopper, you know, who knows? Could lead a hand into seeing different leaders. This car's just got so much grip and speed. Like, I'm able to keep such a low exit to the corners, bury it off in there and get it to stick. And because I'm taking a shorter route around the racetrack, that's resulted in me running fast laps and pulling away. Who was it? I think it was Austin Dillon at Richmond when he won the race earlier this year. He was mentioning something about that too. I was listening to his Dale Jr. download interview, and he said that he felt that he was faster than everybody else because he was able to keep a lower exit off the exit of the corners because he had that much grip compared to the rest of the cars on the longer run. And that really, I mean, that's basically the line I've always used when possible in these NASCAR video games too, just because, yeah, I do agree. Now, granted, the AI are going to want to go up towards the wall more, but I'll take grip any day. We've got the grip here. You're just shortening the racetrack by so much, especially off turn 4. Not as much off turn 2 because it's already a narrow exit to the corner as it is. But turn 4, when you got the kinked front stretch, it's a really wide sweeping corner. You can really get away with it there. John Fleming and Mark DeMars, thanks for tuning in. Alex Palou won his 3rd title in 4 seasons. Sounds like he's trying to catch Scott Dixon. This car can beat a stock car. I mean, I don't know exactly what you mean by that, but if you're just talking like top speed, I mean, there's probably a lot of cars out there that can beat top speed. If you're talking about on a regular oval race, I don't think he's got the capability to have the same race tires on it, though. That's the problem. You're not going to have longevity. Like standard cars, like even if you have a sports car, a lot of sports cars aren't made to oval race. So if we're talking like an oval, he's going to burn the tires off of it so much earlier than... That's even if he was, you know, going the same speed. If he's going even faster, yeah, good luck. Better have a wide tire. Not this stock car here today. This baby's quick. Brought that rocket ship from Phoenix right back to Richmond. I want the points lead so bad. Like, we're 11 races into the season. I haven't even led in points yet, despite the fact that I've won half the races. And Tony Stewart is just so gosh darn consistent. I guarantee even with them starting 15th, just watch, he ends up finishing like 3rd or something like that, and like barely gain any points on him again. I can see that happening for sure. Maybe drag race, yeah. I mean, I feel like a wheel spin is, especially in a drag race with a stock car, wheel spins is going to happen. Like you see that on restarts when they have older tires. I mean, I couldn't imagine if you were just like a standing start situation. That's with a rolling start, they spin the tires. A 35 to 65 mile an hour rolling start, and they spin the tires. You don't time it right. Scotty Bowman's 91st birthday. I'm going to be completely honest. I don't know who Scotty Bowman is. Am I supposed to know who Scotty Bowman is? I don't think I've heard of the guy. Cool name, though. Anybody that goes by Scotty, hang around with that guy. Worst 3 finishes in this series? 41st at Atlanta, I believe, was my worst. And then Daytona was like 40th or something like that. We finished pretty back in the field at Daytona. We might have been top 40. Might have been like in the mid-30s. Back half of the 30s. I know it was a little bit better than Atlanta, but I have the full list of results on my Google Docs page, so I'll let you know when we get to the next pit stop if you remind me. If I don't remember on my own. I think those are the only 2 finishes we've had outside the top 10, though. Greatest Red Wings. Oh, that's... Well... You know, as a Red Wings fan, maybe I should know that. I don't know. Like, I know a lot of players from, you know, that great dynasty set of teams, really. I mean, it was more than just one team. They had a couple generations of guys, that 25-year playoff streak, but, yeah, I outside of Mike Babcock, I don't know who coached before him, honestly. Probably that guy. You should. It sounds like I should. Yeah, that's pretty bad on my part. Hockey coaches in general, though, I feel like I don't know a lot of them. Like, even in the league today, that's like the one sport when it comes to like coaching, there's very few that I actually know. Basically, the ones I do know, they've been around for a really long time. '93 to '02. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, when you say the greatest of all time, I would imagine it was probably the front half of that dynasty. Detroit, Colorado. Yeah, that was an ugly war, for sure. Entertainment value was high, though. Those guys were practically trying to commit murder on ice. .2-second lead already. Still no lap traffic, so a lot of clean air for the 2. When I was in practice, I was around a couple cars, and Ryan Newman, as usual, was difficult to pass. As you expect Ryan Newman to be difficult to pass. Seems like it's that way in the video games, too. '06 to '15. Then who was the coach from '02 to '06 then? Again, I probably should know that, but I don't. LaRonde. No, that's now. No, I'm talking from '02 to '06. There's a 4-year gap there. Well, they had the lockout in '04, but you get what I'm saying. Might be a snooze fest because we're talking about hockey. Wade always tries to get me talking about other sports. Every night he's getting me to talk about Detroit sports. I'm an avid Detroit sports fan, so I can definitely talk about that all day. But a race like this is a good race for me to do so, though, because there isn't a lot going on. But I get distracted too easily if it's a race where we have a lot going on, and I feel like that's where I make my most mistakes. This one I could kind of you know, not have to focus in this situation, and we'll still be all right. Dave Lewis. I've never heard of that guy either. Yeah, I don't know. They must have had some early playoff exits in those years for him to only be there for a few seasons. Crazy thing, it's not even hockey season either. Talking about the Wings dynasty. It's close, but not quite there. Training camp is tomorrow. That doesn't count, though. If it's still 80-plus degrees in Northwest Ohio where I live, it's definitely not hockey season yet. Doesn't even feel like football weather out there. A lot of these high schools around me probably have it good this year so far. Although, I mean, I guess it was in the 60s that one weekend when they probably would have been playing. It probably would have been somewhat nippy that night, but yeah, for the most part, it's a pretty warm weather deep into September. It's not usually cold this time of the year where I live, but it's usually like 60 to 70 degrees consistently about this time, so it is a little odd that it's been in the 80s pretty much the entire month, except for like a few days here and there. There's like one stretch of like 4 or 5 days where it was in the 60s and 70s, and it's been back in the 80s for well over a week. Climate change, yeah. I try not to... I know why that is the case for sure, yeah, but I try to not acknowledge it as much as I can. Whether that's probably a bad thing to do that, but... Who said I'm a wimp? I have to beat somebody up? Got some keyboard warriors in the chat, as Mike Joy would say. Lap traffic hasn't even been difficult here for Boyer these last several laps. Just ran his fastest lap of the race while being 3 wide off turn 4 with a couple of cars to his outside, but it wasn't even a tight 3 wide. Already over a 5-second lead, and we're only on lap 47. It's like 2021 Kyle Larson. Or 2017 Martin Truex Jr. He always won by a wide margin. I wonder if Newman's going to be difficult to pass on and catch him like he was in practice. It took me a few laps to get around him, even though I was well quicker than him. He was blocking me super low off the exit of every corner. Looking to bounce back in fantasy football this week. I'm 2-0 in my work league, and I'm 1-1 my other league, and Deebo Samuel's hurt, so now I'm looking for a wide receiver, and I got rid of Tank Dell because he wasn't doing anything to pick up Isaiah Likely last week because for some reason he was on free agency. I'm like, I think I'll be all right with 3 wide receivers. Here we are. Now I'm down 1. I'm only down to 2 guys. That's not good. I thought I was in a good spot before this week, too. Good old injuries. Hooking that yellow line. Jimmy Johnson. I've probably lapped about half the field already, I feel. Well, maybe not. I'm looking up at the track map. Not even a half a track ahead of second yet. I'd hold off on that statement for a little while longer. Haven't hit halfway out of gas yet, so that's interesting. We haven't had a caution-free Busch or Cup race. We finally had our first caution-free truck race last night at Kansas. Ended up finishing in 7th. Warrior just ran his fastest lap of the race that last time. Tigers keep playing the way they are right now. They might even get the 5 seed at this point. They win tonight. They're only 2 games behind KC for the 5 seed. The disadvantage we have, though, too, with the Royals and the Twins, which I didn't think about until somebody mentioned it to me at work because I wasn't thinking about it at all, was that we don't have the tiebreaker against either team. So it's basically like we're an extra game back from where we are, which I didn't really think about that until, oh my gosh, just now that thing snapped loose. A kiss into the wall. That was out of nowhere. I felt like the car was okay until then. Bit snappy. Halfway out of gas just as we were about to approach lap 57 at the line, so definitely going to be a 2-stop race. Probably 15 laps short on both runs, so about 30 laps short in total of making this thing a 1-stop. So it's not going to be quite a fuel mileage race like last night, being that short. Cards won 2 in a row. Scooble's pitching today, so I like our chances. I said 2 out of 3 against KC would be perfectly fine. I wasn't expecting to win all 3. I mean, we had instances where we probably shouldn't have won all 3. Especially that first game of the series. They should not have won that game. You're up 5-1 in the middle innings. If you're like a playoff, like you'd be in the playoffs if it started today. You got to close those games out if you're KC, and they didn't. Gave Detroit a chance, and then on top of that, yesterday, 1-1 all the way to the 10th, 1-3-1, but in the 5th and 6th inning, we stranded the bases loaded. Well, they stranded the bases loaded. We got out of the jam. 5th inning, there was only 1 out. And then we turned a double play. And then the 6th inning, it was 1st and 2nd, I think, with 1 out. And then they ended up getting the bases loaded with 2 away and got out of that too. And then they went 1-2-3 the 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th. Didn't give up a single base runner the rest of the game. Contact with Denny Hamlin in the 20. Every time I see that 20 car and Denny Hamlin in it, I can't not think of that race at Milwaukee. I think it was in either 06 or 07 when he subbed for Eric Almirola in one. Because of a whole sponsorship ordeal. Where the sponsor wanted Denny in the car and not Almirola, and Denny got to the track late because it was a standalone Busch event at the time. I think they were in Sonoma that weekend, and his flight in was delayed or something of that nature, and subbed in and won. That's also the only time, at least I can recall, and probably in my entire lifetime, that a driver has subbed in mid-race and won. And I'm sure it's probably happened before that, but not that I can remember, at least. Yeah, I've stayed up the last 2 nights watching all those Tigers games, going to bed and going into work. I'm like 5 hours or less asleep, so I'm really hoping that tonight's game, Scooble shuts them down and Tigers get run support early. I don't feel the need that I have to stay up and watch the rest of it. I want to do that 3 nights in a row. I will say I got more hours of sleep yesterday because I had a couple hours of sick time, so I put in to go in at 8 a.m. this morning. I still got up just before 5, and I'm like, yeah, not happening. I went back to sleep and put my sick time in. Gave myself a couple extra hours. Haven't made the playoffs in 9 years. Haven't won a playoff series, or no, 10. Haven't won a playoff series in 11. Oh, you got somebody blowing up. Is that the Walmart car again? Get down! Oh my goodness! Big hit to the nose. He got down the racetrack, but he didn't get completely out of the way, and now Boyer's front bumper is all smashed in, and we're going to have to pit here before we have the debris yellow. There's significant damage on this, too. He got down, but he didn't go all the way to the apron. He kind of stopped himself. And Boyer's going to have to come in. We're in the window to make it on 2 stops, but you hate the short pit on a short track. It'll be 4 tires and a full tank of gas for the driver, the number 2. McMurray win his first race, taking over from Marlin. No, it wasn't mid-race. He started that race. That was his second career start, because Marlin had the neck injury at Kansas 2 weeks before that, and that was McMurray's second start in that car. Marlin missed the rest of the year. But Sterling didn't start. That's why he fell out of the championship hunt. Because you still get points if you start the race, even if somebody else finishes it. But because he had to have surgery, he couldn't even start. Well, now 42nd is where Clint Boyer runs, having to make an unscheduled pit stop. Unscheduled/scheduled pit stop. Scheduled in the sense, again, we can make this race on 1 more stop still. Everybody else will still have to pit twice. But severe damage to the left front fender, had to get that fixed. It was in the red, too. I might not have been able to take many more hits. Granted, I don't even know if I made contact with Hamlin. I think that was it. Got up against the wall once. And those are the only 2 bits of contact we had the first 70 laps until that happened. And that was a big hit to the back of that car that blew an engine. I mean, I definitely could have given him more room, but at the same time, I thought he was going all the way to the apron. Like I said, he just kind of parked it on the inside of the track, not on the apron, right in the racing line, and nailed him in the right rear. And the bad part is, too, Boyer is now a lap down, but he does have the freshest tires in the field, and he already had the fastest car, so really put a gap between ourselves and Kyle Busch once everything cycles through. And you almost wonder if this is going to potentially take him out of a shot to lead the most laps today, depending on how many laps he spends out of the lead for. The rest of the field should pit right around lap 110 to 120. So I think we can still lead the most laps. Tony Stewart started 15th, clearly has not gotten up to the lead at this point. He's closer to it now with the 2 car. Making that pit stop. It just goes to show you never know what will happen in a full race. Even when we have the fastest car in the field, stupid things like that could happen out of the control of the driver. And here we are. But it won't be like a comeback the way it's looking now. We really need this to stay green, though. This race has to stay green until everything cycles through. Otherwise, we're going to be in deep trouble. Not that 1 lap down isn't impossible to come back from, but you got to figure these Busch races are a lot shorter. We're not guaranteed any yellows with stages. It won't be an easy lap to try to overcome. And we're nowhere near the free pass position. Busch is working himself in a lot of lap traffic right now, so caution came out, we wouldn't even be in the free pass. I can guarantee it with where we're at right now. I don't think I'm going to get my lap back before he pits either. Oh, we're moving, but not that bad. Here's Newman. First time we've caught him. I don't know why he's racing like this. Fresh tires allow me to get underneath him a little quicker than I did in practice. It took me a few laps in practice. He was kind of doing that same thing, just kind of running us tightly, and I couldn't get to his inside. A little grip on that apron off the exit of turn 2 there as well. This track being flat enough, not as much of a transition from the banking to the asphalt. Boyer up to 39, so he's gained a few positions. He was in 42nd, and the only car out of the race would have been that driver that blew up right around us. I guess I'm slicing through this field a lot quicker than I initially thought. I mean, I guess maybe there is a chance we get our lap back before they pit. We're going to build ourselves up a big gap over Busch. I almost wonder if we're going to have a full lap lead in the field after everything cycles through. Like I said, we should be 30 to 40 laps to the good to make this thing a 1 more stop. Just like we're in real life Newman's way of racing. Yeah, I know. That's what's hilarious about it. Good old Newman being Newman. Yeah, Stewart's pretty high up in the running order because there's the 33 car, and Kyle Busch on the track map doesn't seem to be that much further ahead, so Stewart is trying to get after for the lead. Big corner entry by Boyer. Quite a bit of contact there. Stewart could get 5 bonus points. Three wide under Stewart. Contact made. Clear. I think Biffle's probably in second. I don't think John Andretti is. I feel like I remember lapping him earlier. Guess we'll find out when we pass him. If we'll be for position or not. Oh, Biffle was first spot too. So I guess Tony Stewart's probably in second. From 15th to 2nd with no cautions nonetheless. 33 is just quick again. Not as quick as us, but he's quick. He's probably got the 2nd fastest car in the field. Go figure. I mean, that's kind of been the story of the season. Boyer trying to get this lap back as soon as he can in case there is a yellow. Doesn't take him out of the running. Getting to the inside of Busch off turn 4. Three-wide pass with Jeff Burton to the outside. That pass was for 20th on Burton, and Boyer now back on the lead lap. So, Clint Boyer on the lead lap here at Richmond. Breathe a little easier, just in case we end up getting a yellow. But we had to take advantage of those 4 fresh Goodyears and try to saw through that traffic, and did just that. And obviously still have fresher tires. I mean, we have 70-lap fresher tires at Richmond, so this is why we're blowing through everybody even faster than what we were on the initial start. Built out about an 8-second lead before that contact happened, again, right around lap 70. And 23 laps, Boyer's already unlapped himself and continues to eat into his deficit. Harvick was a spot. Field way more spaced apart now. We got through the huge bulk of the lap traffic. So I think now that we're back on the lead lap, if we were to get a caution, I'm going to end up pitting again, so I don't have a disadvantage of having older tires in front of the field. We have the fastest car here, so I can bank on just pitting and driving, you know, through them eventually, getting to the lead. And then trying to put a gap on them from that point. So I definitely won't be able to do that with older tires. So that's something we'll keep in mind if we get a caution now that we're back on the lead lap. Over-under move on Bernie Lamar. Pass was for 11th. And that was a spot. Kenny Wallace just blew an engine. We passed him a few laps ago for position, and now Wallace is out. Kenny, the winner in the last race we ran, in fact, at Talladega. That took place last week on the channel. 100 laps complete. Okay, 13.2 seconds off the race lead where we're at right now. Pitting for fresh tires under yellow with where we're at? No. Because at that point, I think I'll have a big enough lead. And whatever time I end up losing, I should get it back when I end up having to pit before everybody else again. And I think I've made up enough ground now. I'd like to think I could stay on the lead lap the rest of the race, even, you know, if I were to run this fuel run all the way out. So although our pit strategy was altered a little bit, I don't think we have to alter it any further. I think it's kind of straightforward. I made up way more ground than what I thought I was. They haven't pit yet, so I'm still making up ground. I mean, we're like, what, a third of a second faster a lap? It seems like I gain a second every 3 laps on these guys. 11.5 at the line there. And there really isn't any lap traffic in front of Kyle Busch anymore. Lap 105 coming on 106 for him, and we've got some cars pitting. So pit stops are taking place. Quite a few from the top 10 were on pit road that time. And now, yeah, I'm about a half a second faster lap. I gained a half a second on Busch. And that was with us in lap traffic, and he's got clean air. 70 lap pressure tires, just a huge advantage. And they won't even have 70 lap pressure tires on me here. They're only going to have about 35 lap pressure tires, so half of what I have on them. A little contact getting into turn 1, nothing major there. Kevin Harvick down on pit road, our teammate. Crocker, Hornaday pit in front of us. Kyle Busch still out on the track. Maybe trying to catch a caution and lap nearly the entire field at this point with Bowyer in third. Like 9 seconds behind Busch. Jeff Burton now on pit road. Longer Busch stays out of the pits, more of a chance Tony Stewart's going to cycle ahead of him if Stewart has pit already. And the only reason that matters, even though it would be for second at the time, is if Stewart ends up leading laps after Bowyer were to pit the second time. I think that pass on Kenseth was for position. So yeah, Stewart is definitely pit. Busch still out on the track. Busch had clean air until cars started pitting, and now he doesn't have the clean air anymore. He's losing so much time staying out this long. I mean, I get if he catches a caution, there's only a couple cars on the lead lap, but he was running good before that. I don't know why he stayed out as long as he did. Lap 113, Clint Bowyer back to the lead. We're not going to know our interval over second until everything cycles out when Busch leaves the pits. He's just exiting his pit box as we were getting off of turn 2. I think we're going to cycle out in front of him. I think he stayed out a little too long. I definitely think Tony Stewart's going to be in second. And we have lapped the field. So that short pit, because of the damage and the 70 lap pressure tires, we actually made up so much time that now we're a lap ahead of the field. As Bowyer tries to get by Jeremy Mayfield. Tires have fallen off a little bit. We ran 21.2s at one point. We're at 21.4s now, about 35 laps into the run. Just being a half a second a lap faster than the leaders, that makes sense that we're falling off a few tenths every a tenth or two, basically every 10 laps is what it seems like to me at the most. It's not like Richmond nowadays. You got to figure this is the 2006 Richmond surface versus 2024, which is the same asphalt. Hasn't been repaved in between that time frame. If this was today's Richmond, I probably would have taken the lead well before they pitted. Honestly, pitting as early as I did, but I'd also be giving up way more time right now, too. If this was today's Richmond. Yeah, I already talked about it the other night. My biggest fear is snakes. I took a deep dive into my my childhood past. Almost halfway through the race already. Just watch. We haven't had a caution-free Busch truck or Cup Series race, and then watch us get the caution-free truck and Busch race back-to-back nights. Weird how that works out. Two different tracks, too. Kansas for the trucks at Richmond tonight. We still got over half a race left, though, so not going to say that for sure. And yeah, it's definitely not clowns. I never really had clown encounterings when I was younger, so maybe that had nothing. Maybe that's why I was never afraid of clowns. Things that aren't real would never scare me. Like I've known from a young age like what's real and what isn't. So anything fictional would like that. Like even if I were to like watch something, I feel like jump scares usually don't get me. Halfway home, 125 laps down, another 125 to go. Everybody's got to pit one more time. Our short pitting effort is the reason why Clint Boyer is one lap ahead of the field. We're still outpacing these guys. Which is insane. Now, maybe some of the faster cars in the field we aren't, but these lappers in the back half of the field we are. Like COVID. I got that joke. That joke I understood. That one was funny. All right, halfway out of gas. Yeah, my next job is just trying to keep a decent enough lead that when I pit, Tony Stewart hopefully doesn't cycle as the leader. I would imagine him pitting before Kyle Busch by quite a few laps, really. I would probably like to venture that Stewart is ahead of Busch. And if he's going to finish second, least we can do is try to keep him from leading the lap. Only 2 leaders this entire race have been Boyer and Busch. Mainly because Boyer obviously was P1, Busch was P2 for the entire first run of the race. And in doing so, Kyle Busch was the last driver to hit pit road. So he never had to sacrifice the lead to anybody else. Usually your jokes don't... Yeah, there has been a few times I can remember in the last few times you've tried to make a joke that... Yeah, I just completely missed it. right over my head, as if I didn't even know you were trying to make a joke. That one got to me, though. That one, I understood the assignment on that one. I feel like I've kind of had a tendency to scare people unintentionally. I don't know if that's just, I feel like being tall and then I'm quiet. So like at work, I'll be carrying something into a trailer or something. And if there's a loader like already in there, they'll like not know I'm in there. I'll like walk up behind them with something or whatever. And then just like, oh, I didn't see you there. I feel like that happens a lot. Doesn't help, it's also dark in the trailers most of the time too, so. Well, yeah, I mean, I would probably get your humor, like, way more often if it wasn't typed through a chat. I feel like sarcasm, it's a lot harder to tell with people. Like, honestly, there's, you know, generally speaking, a lot of people would say that there's a lot of negativity on the internet and stuff. You know, comments, chats on, like, specific things. I'm not talking about, you know, my YouTube channel necessarily, but just, like, other things in the world of current events and whatever. And I feel like a lot of it is people joking about something and people taking them too seriously as if they're not joking. Because, I mean, we found, you know, for instance, just in the last couple of weeks, John, with your comments, like, it just went completely over my head. It's hard to read sarcasm when you can't look at somebody's face when they're saying it, because they're not saying it, they're typing it. Scared of the dark? I think the closest I've ever been to being scared of the dark, I was scared of, for those of you that don't know, big pro wrestling guy, myself, but Kane was like the fictional character, I guess, that I was technically afraid of growing up. But the difference is like, it's a real person, I guess, so I understood that, like, that's a real guy. Maybe that's why I was afraid of that, but I was never afraid of, like, other stuff that isn't real. It's like, that's a real guy that dresses like that in public every week in front of different people, so maybe that was a little harder to comprehend at a young age. Yeah, I like your vibe, man. Sleep with a nightlight? I don't know what you're talking about. No. Can't recall that I ever have, to be completely honest. Closest I came to sleeping with a nightlight, I was in a very, let's just say it was a very dirty hotel when I was at Indianapolis a few years ago for the NASCAR race. And I did sleep with a light on just because I felt like there were going to be insects at night, if that makes any sense. And I wanted to at least be able to see them. So, yeah, I slept with the lights on that day. I was waking up in the middle of the night because it's so freaking bright in the room. I had every single light on. Because the minute I saw one, I was leaving. Well, I was going to say something to the front desk, and then I was going to leave. Yeah, it was a sketchy place. It was a sketchy Holiday Inn. No, it wasn't a Holiday Inn. It was a La Quinta, I believe. No, I'm not afraid of it. I thought there was going to be roaches. I'm not afraid of them. You don't want to sleep with roaches. No, I'm not talking like ants. I'm talking like the place was like the carpets were stained. Like, yeah, it was not a comfortable sleep. Yeah, it was very dirty. I didn't even want to take a shower, like, because I was afraid like the water was like, not not filtered or something. You're showering in like toilet water or something. Throwing the hotel under the bus. I couldn't give a damn. If I knew the address, I would tell people not to go there. I had a bad experience like that. I'm not saying all La Quintas are bad. I've stayed in La Quintas before that were perfectly fine. I might have even stayed in a couple since. It was just that one in particular, Indianapolis. Somewhere close to Speedway, Indiana. Honestly, it's probably the closest La Quinta to Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It was probably about where I stayed at. So don't stay at that hotel. Maybe things have changed. It has been almost 3 years, but actually it's been a little over 3 years because it was summer of 21. So yeah, it's been a little over 3 years. But I'd like to think it. Honestly, if anything, it probably got shut down for a health inspection. It's probably not even open anymore. I think enough people have probably complained about it. I doubt that place is running. If that place was running then and it wasn't clean, I guarantee it's probably even worse now if it was still open. You could just tell before you got into the room that the place was like, the lobby didn't look too bad, but like walking up the steps around the corner, I'm like, this seems a little peculiar. Then you get into the room and then you see the TVs like smashed, broken, the curtains are ripped, floor stained. Somebody could have been murdered in that room for all I know. I'm not kidding. Like that could have happened. I don't know. The first room I had, the door wouldn't even lock, so I had to get another room. Hotel 6 in Findlay. I don't know why I would stay in a hotel close to where I live, but just rent a TV, go to the local like rent a center or something. ABC Warehouse still a thing. Rent a TV and then yeah, go put it back. Smelled like cigarettes and sex. If that ain't a hotel, I don't know what is. No, I'm kidding. that that doesn't yell Motel 6 to me. I don't know what does. Oh, RV. Yeah, that would be a way to go. It's not very cost effective considering how many races I've been to before. At that point, you might as well buy one. But I've never really been the camping type. Smells like your house. Oh boy. your house or a 1950s high school football locker room. So I just assumed that that was going on in the 50s, you know. They definitely were probably smoking in the locker room. That I can almost guarantee. I don't have visual evidence, but I feel like everybody smoked in the 50s. That was like the cool thing to do back then. I feel like all those old movies, you always saw like young people smoking all the time. What's that one with frickin', I can think of the character's name, Fozzie. I'm drawing a blank on that TV show. Somebody in the chat's gonna let me know about it. Harry Winkler plays the character. That's bad that I don't know that off the top of my head. I don't know if that movie actually was in the 50s, but I knew it took place in the 50s. No, I said movie. It's not a movie. It's a TV show. Happy Days. There we go. Thank you. Thank you. Or like any James Dean movie. Like that seems like that was pretty normal too. There we go. 10 bonus points. Most laps led here for Clint Boyer. We'll have to pit pretty soon here. I'm old. Hey, man. I knew what it was, and I'm only 25 years old, so I can remember watching a few episodes of that, or maybe a episode or something. I think we have like a pulp. I almost said a Pulp Fiction. I think it was a pop culture class I took in high school. I think I remember one day we watched an episode of Happy Days. So we were going over the 50s and stuff. That's why I feel like I know as much about what happened in the 50s as I do, is because of that class. I don't know how I still remember this, considering I'm over 8 years removed from high school. I don't know what year it was I took that class. I just remember having a pop culture class for a semester, and I can remember watching an episode of Happy Days once. Kids don't know nothing before 2015. Well, if they're... maybe they'll have a pop culture class sometime in high school and they'll learn a bunch of stuff like that. Maybe they don't do that anymore. I don't know. That could be the case, too. Bernie Lamar running into the inside wall, getting down into turn 3. 80 laps to go yet in this race. And the moment of truth to see if Tony Stewart's going to lead a lap or not, it's going to be coming up soon when Clint Boyer has to eventually pit. It's going to definitely be within the next 10 laps. And try to run this field run out as long as we can, just in case we were to get a caution. That's all they learn in school nowadays. What, pop culture? I don't know. I feel like we learned some like advanced stuff that like never made any sense, because it's like, why do I have to? Like, I'm not going to need this for my future self. I mean, in technicality, I didn't really need to know that pop culture class either, but I guess, you know, it's nice having it in the sense that it's kind of like a U.S. history thing. Even though, you know, pop culture, stuff like that doesn't necessarily matter in the grand scheme of things. It's not like U.S. history. U.S. history usually go over like monumental stuff or whatever that you probably should know about your country's past. That stuff, it's like, if somebody doesn't know like entertainment from the 50s, I don't think there's really like, I don't think there's anything bad about that. I think if anything, if you're upset about people not knowing stuff from the 50s, if you were around back in the 50s, I feel like yeah, loosen up a little. Loosen up a little, Grandpa. Should have paid attention in Spanish. Some of that stuff, honestly, from Spanish class stuck with me up until, like, the last couple years, and I, like, barely remember anything now. I'll pick up on words here and there, but I don't think I can put a whole sentence together anymore. The only sentence I remember is Puedo ir al baño, which is I have to go to the bathroom. That's like all I can remember. It's like the only sentence I can remember from Spanish class. Race is a two-stopper. Yep, it has been. We are going to pit at lap 180. We'll stay out one more lap. Boyer will pit the following time by. It'll be the final stop for him on this race. We'll have 70 laps to go. So we pit at lap 70, and we're going to pit with 70 to go. And everybody else will be able to make it to about 30 to 40 laps left in this race before they pit. But they will have to pit also. I took it way too easy into the pits. I could have taken that a lot faster. No adjustments again, 4 tires and fuel. All right, here we go. Yep, Tony Stewart's leading. Well, I tried. I mean, there wasn't really anything I could have done different there other than not hit that lap car when I did. But that was a freak thing considering he blew an engine right in front of us. All right, well. 3.4 seconds off the lead. We should get the lead, honestly, within a handful of laps. These fresh tires again. We had 70 lap fresh tires earlier in the race, and now we have it once more. Have something in my drink today? Yeah, I usually have water. It's a coffee from Starbucks I'm finishing up. I was dragging when I left work, and I was like, well, I got stream tonight. I need some juice to wake me up. So, yeah, here we are. Rejuvenized. Which is also good, because I haven't worked out yet today, so now I'm, like, motivated to do that again as soon as this is done. Grab something to eat real quick, and then... Oh, I didn't even have to grab anything to eat. I had Subway on my way home. I only ate 6 inches of it, so I'm going to finish that. And then I'm going to work out. I'm going to eat light afterwards. And then watch the Tigers game. And I mean, Tigers game is going to start before I'm done working out. But I'll be keeping an eye on the Tigers game at that point, and then watch probably the second half of it when I'm done. And then go to bed, go to work, and do it all over again. Although tomorrow we are not doing a gaming stream because the Truck Series race is tomorrow night at Bristol. So 8 p.m. Eastern will go live tomorrow. Truck Series live commentary stream. Thursday night truck race. The only Thursday night race of the year. And it is Bristol, baby. My personal favorite track. We got 3 straight days of it. I'm pumped. Man, golfing Friday, me too. I don't know where I'm playing yet, but no buddy of mine. He asked if I wanted to play yesterday. He's like, "Are you at work?" I'm like, yeah." I had that sick time I used this morning. I would have used it, you know, then if I would have known you wanted to do that. It's going to be the first pass for the lead we've seen on track today, not during green flag pit stops. Boyer going to get by Tony Stewart on his way fresher tire. Stewart leads for a few laps in this one, enough to get 5 bonus points. Boyer back in the lead as he has already locked up the most laps led. And basically what everybody's hoping for at this point is a caution before they have to hit pit road to keep them in the race. Just because you never know what could happen, but if they're all a lap down, that's pretty much going to be about it until we get to the finish. I mean, they're all a lap down. I guess second place would get the free pass to get back on the lead lap, so it's never going to be completely out of reach. But although we could be 2 laps ahead of the field, I guess, technically. That's not impossible. Honestly, though, if we go caution-free all the way through this, I think it actually helped that we short-pitted that first run. I know it's not something you want to do on a short track, because, again, if we would have had a yellow within those first 20 laps or so after pitting, we would have been trapped a lap down. Like, although we have the fastest car in the field, if we would have had to do that on equal tires, I don't know that we would have been able to do that. Only going to gain points on Story. Yes, assuming I still win. But that's still 5 more bonus points. You know, every point matters. Season-long points format, too. We don't have a chase on the Busch or Truck Series seasons. Even though I'm at a deficit now, we keep this consistency up, you know, we'll catch them, but we never know when we're going to have a bad race again. We've had 2 bad races this season. And I don't think it's going to be like the Truck Series where Phillips missed a race. Tony Stewart isn't missing a race, so I don't think we can get that lucky twice. It's only because the fantasy drivers don't run every single race. I think that's why we got lucky. I would have imagined with him being the points leader at the time of him missing that race that he would have still ran it, but apparently not. Yeah, the live betting odds are probably saying that I'm at a minus like 10,000 to win this race. I don't think it's worth. Bet 100 on me and win the whole 50 cents. Almost a lap 200. Just over a 2-second lead. 70 lap pressure tires continuously pulling away from Tony Stewart. Tony Stewart's doing his job, though. He's making it tough on us. He's making us have to perform like this to try to catch him. It's going to be 4 wins in the last 6 races. And all top 10s in that 6-race stretch as well for Boyer. The thing is with this Busch Series season, we're also quick on the intermediate tracks, which isn't always the case for the Cup and the Truck seasons we're having. But this Busch Series season we have been. It's just, I mean, I kid you not. It's like I win, Stewart finishes 2nd or 3rd like every single race, and he always leads laps. I don't think he's had a race where he hasn't led a lap this season. I don't know if that's 100% factual or not, but it feels that way. Well, that's out of my control. Next race, for the Busch Series season, Darlington, I think. think we go to Darlington next. Tigers bullpen's a 1.8 ERA this month. That's insane. Good track for me. I don't really remember how I did there on the Mark Martin Revenge Tour season. I feel like I haven't raced Darlington on this game in a minute. I felt like it was early in the seasons on our custom schedule season. We didn't go to the same track more than once outside of super speedways on the custom schedule seasons across every series, so I honestly don't remember off the top of my head how I did. I still have all the stats on a Google Doc page. I have all my NASCAR 07 stuff on there, so I could look it back up again, but yeah, I can't remember off the top of my head. Honestly, it's been so long, I'll probably have to relearn the racetrack. Darlington. Yeah, Darlington, and then I think Charlotte, Dover, Dodge Raceway potentially again. Whatever that other fantasy track was that we were looking at after Dover. I think those are the next 4. If it's not Dodge Raceway and it has a Dodge sponsorship as the title sponsor for the race, I don't know what it is. Still have to do both field passes yet in this one, but wait to do that until after everybody pits again. Yeah, I'll definitely be practicing before that Darlington race, that's for sure. I'm trying to give myself more time to practice if I get back from work early enough before I do these earlier streams. I mean, if I push my start time back a half hour to an hour, I could do that, but then I'm getting these races done a little later. I had time to practice today. I practiced yesterday, too. Trying to work on getting here as soon as I can, not lollygagging around when I'm leaving. Looking caution-free. So far, I mean, we've had a lot of late yellows outside of the race last night. That was a different series. This race a little bit longer. $40 laps to go. Mentioned the last 30 to 40 laps, we should see cars pit. We're at 39 to go. Nobody's pit yet. 5-second lead for Boyer on track. Definitely holding out as long as they can in case they catch that yellow. And we've got a car pitting this time off turn 4, so looks like we've got green flag pit stops starting right now. Yep, crew chief mentioning some of the top 5s on the way to pit road as well. Maybe Stewart finally pitting. See, that would be perfect. We get a caution in the middle of green flag stops after Stewart pits. That would knock him into a further back finish. I'd be all right with that only because I have the fastest car in the field. I feel that I should be able to win this race still. You know, we'll come down, we'll take tires, and even if I don't come out the leader, we should get there. I'm not worried about having to maintain track position in this one. We got enough laps left. At 8.4-second lead. I don't think that's over Stewart anymore. Because it was right around 5 seconds just a few laps ago. Huge influx of cars into the pits. Harvick is down there. Jeff Burton, I don't think, has pit yet for RCR. Last of the trio to have to come down. Getting underneath the 119 as he gets up to speed on the front stretch. And now Jeff Burton's in the pits. I will say, man, these caution-free races keep the race flow going by pretty quickly. We finished 250 miles at Kansas yesterday in barely over an hour and a half, and I think this race is going to time in right around there, too. It was an hour, 38 minutes to get through 250 miles at Kansas yesterday. Caution-free, and this race, caution-free. Honestly, it might be right around that same time. 30 laps to go at the line. 7:23. It was probably a couple minutes after 6 when the race itself started. Stream started at 6. 3 laps in just over a minute. Still got a few cars getting into pits. The last lap or so. Yeah, not every lead lap car's pit either. There's at least one other car on the lead lap. There's Kyle Busch in the 5. Full contact with Denny Hamlin in the center of 1 and 2. Boyer slid up the track a little bit. Or drove the entry to the corner. So Busch is 2 laps down. Wherever Tony Stewart's out on track, he is not 2 laps down. He's probably even further out ahead of Busch now than what he was before. Whoever's in second, they're just holding out and hanging on for dear life to lock them into a top 2 finish. Boyer under Lamar. I almost said McMurray. He's not in the 42. It's Casey Beers. Murray's with Roush now. Formerly known as Jamie McMurray. A.K.a. Little Jamie Baby. Steer Waltrip would say. Little Jamie Baby. That car's on. I think it was Kenseth in the 17. I just saw him in the pits. Yep, so now we're a lap ahead of the field again. I see 8:33 car, but that's not Stewart's 33. That would be Ron Hornaday's 33, just up ahead. And we'll take our first field pass. We'll swap back to Jeff Burton in the 21. Jeez Louise, Jeff Burton. 4 laps down in 22nd. Got a spot on pit road. Then he made a pass for position as well. There's another one. Try to get Burton and Harvick a couple more spots here. Burton under Biffle. Pass for 18th. Harvick now in 20th. I like how we can just get more speed out of these cars than what they can. The fact that they're 4 laps down, but not outside the top 20 is kind of insane. I know it's caution-free on a short track, but still. $18 laps to go at the line. Kyle Busch is caught back up to Clint Boyer. .237 that last lap. Not sure if those cars are for position or not, just up ahead. Jeff Burton getting his way by both of them. Back on the outside lane, though, he might give a spot up if he goes too wide into turns 1 and 2 here. Yep, he's going to do exactly that. Boris said appears to be a spot. Said's going to get back underneath Jeff Burton, too. And that second car after Jeff Burton was a lap down. We'll go back with Clint Boyer for the rest of the race. Barely holding Kyle Busch 2 laps down. 11 laps to go at the line this time by. We'll stay with Boyer the rest of the race. Halfway out of gas. Plenty good, obviously, to the end around this 3/4 mile short track. But under the lights at Richmond Raceway, and dominating win for the Blue Deuce. 10 to go. You know, I wonder if we could have went wire to wire in this thing if we, I mean, we'll never know exactly how much fuel we would have been able to carry into a run compared to Busch. I mean, Busch was able to go a long ways compared to everybody else. But yeah, we'll never know if we would have been able to lead all 250. don't even think we're going to quite get to 200. I think there was enough laps we weren't in the lead. Well, then again, you know what? Actually, I think we did lead more than 200 because we really only didn't lead for only a handful of laps that second time we fell out of the lead after our second stop. For the season standing's sake, we have another trip to Richmond later in the year for the Busch Series, and we'll also have, obviously, our next Cup race at Richmond. Both Richmond races on the Cup Series schedule are in the regular season to try to get that #1 seed with Dave Blaney as we lead in points there. Been leading in points ever since Martinsville on our Cup Series season, which was race 6, but we haven't gotten to the lead in this entire Busch season. And considering Tony Stewart, assuming he's still in the race, is in second, we're probably still going to be over 50 points behind him exiting Richmond tonight and headed to Darlington. Some lady on Wheel of Fortune's trying to swim 500 miles. Good luck to her. Sounds like she's got too much time on her hands. Either that or enjoying retirement a little too much. White flag this time. Our first caution-free truck race last night. Our first caution-free Busch race is tonight. And the short pitting deal allows for Clint Boyer to win this race by an entire lap over second place, as he will score a max points day yet again this season. It'll be win 6 and 11 races for the two. As the Blue Deuce goes to victory lane yet again, Clint Boyer wins at Richmond. Yeah, figure Busch was in third. Tony Stewart's the only car that finished 1 lap down. Everybody else that finished the race finished 2 down or more. Yeah, that's a burnout right there. A big puffy white smoke. It's quick but effective. 203 laps led, so we barely got to 200 laps. Kyle Busch led for 40, 7 laps led for Tony Stewart. And I believe those are the only drivers to lead a lap in the race today. 8 lead changes. Don't even think we had that many, to be completely honest. Margin of victory, 1 lap over Tony Stewart, who started 15th, finished 2nd. We started the pole, won the race. First pole of the season, capitalized on it greatly. 123.78 miles per hour average race speed. 1 hour, 30 minutes, 52 seconds. So this race even shorter than last night's truck race by about 8 minutes. So Stewart 2nd, Kyle Busch 3rd, Matt Kenseth in 4th, Mark Martin 5th, Ryan Newman 6th, Martin Truex Jr. 7th, Dale Earnhardt Jr. 8th, Jeremy Mayfield 9th, Boris Said rounds out the top 10. Man, even Newman in 6th finished 3 laps down. 4 laps down from 13th on back where Vickers was. Our teammates, Kevin Harvick finishes 4 laps down in 17th. Jeff Burton 4 laps down in 19th. And we'll see you all DNF'd in this race today. Not Tony Stewart, unfortunately, but Kenny Walsh we saw blow an engine lap 99, and Art Cooper at lap 69 blew a motor. It looks like Eric Crocker probably blew an engine late as well. I saw a third car enter pit road So she blew an engine very late in the race. Honestly, with about probably 3 or 4 laps left compared to drivers who would have finished the race in front of her. So 3 DNFs total in tonight's race. And we will look at that old point standings. Yep, next race, Darlington under the lights. Darlington, Charlotte, Dover, Dodge Raceway. I don't know where the other track is. That might be another fantasy track, too. I couldn't tell what the title sponsor was. Well, we'll eat into the deficit barely on Stewart, who gets 5 bonus points, finishes second. He literally, I mean, the only thing else he could have done different, finishing second was potentially leading the most laps, and considering how much more superior our car was here today. Yeah, we pretty much did all we could, and we're only going to give him 15 points on him, minus 60 going into the 12th race of the year. Look at how far ahead of third we are. I mean, it's 2 drivers and the rest of the field here. I wonder what his average finish is. Mine was a 9.9 coming into this race. That win might knock it down below 9. Or right around there, a low 9 or a high 8 average finish. Like, his average finish has to be sub 7 or 8. It has to be. We've got 6 wins, 8 top 5s, and 8 top 10s. Oh, that stat's not right. Hang on. I finished 9th at Dega, so I don't have the same amount of top 5s as top 10s. 1, 2. I missed 1. 8 top 5s, 9 top 10s. I'm glad I caught that, because otherwise my stats would have been wrong. 6 wins, 8 top 5s, 9 top 10s, and leading 203 laps tonight means we have 898 laps led in the first 11 races, and still have not led in points for a single race all season. Crazy. All right. That's going to be the final race stream for NASCAR 07 this week. We'll return NASCAR 07 Sunday afternoon while well, probably night because my Packers play at 1 o'clock. So we'll return it Sunday. So we'll return on Sunday for some more NASCAR 07. Until then, we'll have NASCAR live commentary streams the next 3 days. Tomorrow night, we'll have a Truck Series live commentary stream at 8 p.m. Eastern. Again, that's already posted in the community tab for the weekend streaming schedule. As far as Saturday goes, we'll have a double header. We'll be live commentary for Cup Practice qualifying at 4 p.m. Eastern. Again, Friday, 4 p.m. Eastern, Cup Practice qualifying. And then 7:30 p.m. Eastern, we'll go Xfinity Series racing, followed by the Cup race, of course, on Saturday night, Bristol, 7 p.m. Eastern. And hope to, what was that for next stream? Look, what's the fantasy track? I don't think I can. I know it's not Speedway Boulevard. The only fantasy road course would be on the schedule is Old Spice Speedway. I don't know if there's a way for me to actually look up. I couldn't even tell what the title sponsor of the race is. We'll leave it as the element of surprise. All right, that's going to wrap up the stream. Hope to see you this weekend. If not, see you next week. And have a good rest of your Wednesday night, everybody. We'll be back better than ever tomorrow. It'll be Bristol, baby.